So how often are you buying new socks?
Intermittently. If I see a cute pair at Kmart.
No way.
I don't go and buy like 30 pairs of socks in one sitting.
So a sock will strike you?
Yeah. I'll just be like...
I'm the opposite. I'll do like a big chunk of sock buy and then I'm done. I just did it again recently because I was saying this job at Ozpost, I had to get boots. So I'm going to need some Explorer socks. So I looked it up, got like 6 pairs of Explorer socks. That'll get me through the week. And prior to that, it was probably like 2-something years ago, I bought like heaps of just plain black socks for work.
If I decide I need a particular... Like, I'm like, oh, it's getting into summer. I need anklets. I'll go and buy a bunch of anklets. But I don't like go to Kmart like first day of July. It's sock day.
What about last summer's anklets?
Yeah, where do
I
they
don't
end
know. I
up?
buy them from Kmart. They're already
Yeah,
gone.
great.
Yeah.
That's it, right? And I'm actually getting through that batch that I did get from Kmart. I'm trying to get better at when they go in the hill, just turf a mate, they're done.
Tell Lisa about your t-shirt rotation strategy.
Oh yeah, so now I was doing it with my shirts, which is really successful. I'm trying to get better at just getting stuff out and be like, stop wearing it, get it out of the rotation.
Okay.
But from left to right, or in my t-shirt stacks in my drawer, I always take from the right. And then I always put back on the left and I shuffle everything through. So I'm getting through all my shirts.
Methodical.
It is.
But it's worth it because then I start to go, this still, like the one I wore yesterday, I was like, it's getting a bit, you did buy this in Japan and you love it, but it is getting a bit small now, mate.
Can I just say that it doesn't allow you to coordinate clothing?
Coordinate?
If you really loved a t-shirt or a shirt, something like that, would you buy the same version again? If you could find the same version.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'd buy a freshie for sure.
Yeah. Like, I know, because sometimes you get something from an op shop and it's like, I'm never going to find that again because it's a one-off. But, like, I've got my favorite Reanimator t-shirt is starting to die, starting to fade. So I'm like, might just buy the same one. Just
why not?
buy it again.
Yes,
I like it. It's my favorite.
The difference is like a lot of my t-shirts, I bought them when I was overseas and there's memories to it. And I was like, get yourself some t-shirts. And whenever you wear that t-shirt, you think of that trip. And they're starting to go now.
As are your memories of going overseas.
But it's so weird to be like, you sometimes just chuck it out. Because you're not going to, are you ever keeping a shirt that's not in the rotation to wear?
Yes.
Yes.
I have ones
Why?
that have sentimental value.
So I made this agreement with myself. You know what? Support the band. At every single gig, you buy their t-shirt. So I just have like 50 band t-shirts piled up when I finally was like, this is too many. I don't wear any of these.
Bed shirts.
Bed shirts?
Great for a bed shirt.
What, one every 50 days?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I've got a lot of t-shirts that are bed shirts, but something that I saw someone do on TikTok is they took all of their old band t-shirts that they didn't wear and they made them into a quilt.
Oh.
Like a patchwork quilt.
Like a patchwork
It's actually
quilt.
a really good idea.
It is, because
That's
you
a
have
really
all the
good idea.
sentimental, you have the memories, and you can use it, but obviously you're not wearing them.
It
so-
also feels like a really nice segue, right? On the podcast today, we've got Josh Porter. Let's kick this show on the road. Kick this show on the road! My language! Last few days, I have just been picking the wrong words for any context.
Do some math exercises.
Goat.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Red letter, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather.
But I can't speak normally, so...
I'm making it worse for you.
Yeah. Red leather, yellow leather.
Christian Pizzasali. Josh Porter.
Hello.
Welcome to Patchwork Podcast. 2/3. I got 2 of them.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having us.
Welcome to Reanimates. How you going?
Great. Thanks for having us on. Very excited. I'm excited to be back.
Should we set the mood? There's a beautiful candle in the middle of the table.
There really is. I decked it out real romantic-like.
Could I guess the smell?
Yeah, go on.
Is it patchouli?
No.
Okay. I was just trying to get it to blend in with Welcome to Patchouli.
Different podcast. This is.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is I'm Lisa.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a different podcast.
Sorry. Just getting the upsell in early.
Yeah. Plugs at the end, mate.
Welcome to Patchouli.
No, it's actually welcome to Arabian Jasmine and Neroli.
Oh, okay, good. How are you?
Look, I'd be better if I hadn't had to watch this movie last night. You know, sometimes you just want to have a nice night in, relax. But because of the responsibility you have given yourself by doing a really silly podcast.
And the responsibility you've put on other people.
Yeah. Share the burden.
Yes.
Share the burden. I had to spend at least an hour and a half of my life watching Sharkman / Hammerhead : Shark Frenzy from 2005, a Sci-Fi Channel original. I know a lot of the movies that I cover for this podcast aren't like amazing. I mean, they're not all going to be as good as like Reanimator or From Beyond and stuff like that. Some of them are going to be a bit cheap and nasty. This one was so fucking boring. For a movie that's about a shark man,
Yes.
I was so bored.
I like watching trailers, so I made sure to watch the trailer before watching the film, and that was the tip-off for me.
That's how you knew it was going to be a fun time?
Oh, yeah. And I said it to Josh. Josh doesn't like watching trailers.
Want to go in
you went
clean, want to go in
completely
fresh.
blind.
Yep.
But I had a sense of what was to come, and yeah, it was anxiety-provoking because I think we both collectively spent the first 89 minutes wondering what was happening.
I would say I spent the full time wondering what's happening, and then sometime after the film thinking, what was that and what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
It's kind of watching stuff because I haven't watched bad films like this for a very long time. And it's kind of fascinating when you watch it and you go, oh, are these all the things that the films that are good don't do? You start to realize that stuff.
Yeah, because good films typically have like a good script,
Character development.
They'll introduce characters.
characters.
When they decide they're going to have characters, they won't just plonk them in the story and expect you to care about them.
Appropriate amount of gunfire when guns are being used.
Reloading.
Acknowledging that maybe you don't have a very big visual effects budget.
Yeah.
And maybe just adding in a little bit of practical effect here and there so you don't hinge all of your, visual effects on this really bad-looking monster.
Yep.
Monster man. Let's get to it. It was directed by Michael Oblowitz. I went on a bit of a deep dive with the makers of this. So it was written by Howard Zemsky and Monty Featherstone.
That sounds like someone's made up toffee rich name.
It has to be.
It is.
Yeah.
It has to be because I could not find evidence of a Monty Featherstone
Yes.
existing.
He's a rail tycoon, right?
Yeah. Watches the final edit and goes, gonna need a new name for this.
Yeah. It's the rich person's Alan Smithy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So their only other film projects were a Wild Things sequel called Wild Things: Foursome.
Love the colons.
Was it actually foursome?
Yes.
No, but the thing
It
is
was
that
the only key difference. Yeah.
it wasn't actually the symbol of a colon. It was the word colon.
Love a colon
Love
foursome.
a colon foursome.
This is Monty Featherstone's IMDb bio. Monty was born into an aristocratic European family that can trace its ancestry back to William the Conqueror. His interest in fast-paced, action-packed drama was born from the adventure stories he heard from his grandfather, one of the founding members of the SAS. At the age of 6, Monty was sent off to boarding school in the Scottish countryside, where he did well until he reached his mid-teens. At 16, he ran away from school, determined to make a career for himself in the film business. Unfortunately, he only made it as far as southern England, where he remained until 1994. These formative years, 1988 to 1994, are what Monty calls the Scrambled Egg Days. There's no definition of what he means by that
The
either.
scrambled eggs. What do you think he means, Josh?
He just always had heaps of breakfast.
Just that's it.
Put on a heap of weight. It's the scrambled egg days, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of because there's the phrase salad days is like...
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
well,
didn't know
the
that phrase.
salad days is like a term for like the good old days. Maybe scrambled egg is like his version of a salad. It's like his favorite thing.
Oh. Do you think he's making scrambled egg salads?
You could do worse than scrambled egg in a salad.
No, just scrambled eggs.
Oh, it's a salad. It's a bowl of egg, Monty. He draws much strength and inspiration from being at the cutting edge of the dance music explosion and the other activities associated with the period.
Did he just say he's associated with dance music?
In the 90s, yep. I assume that just means he took a lot of ecstasy.
Jesus.
Hang on, did he write this bio?
Well, the author was somebody that also sounded like it was a made-up name. In 1995, while vacationing in Nantucket with a family friend, Monty
This is heaps made up.
Monty met the woman who would become his wife. Jennifer Chow was a domestic servant for his host family, but that didn't matter to Monty. It was love at first sight.
No. Now that we know that it's made up, this all seems too far-fetched.
There once was a Monty from Nantucket.
After marriage and green card ensued, the Featherstone family moved to Los Angeles and Monty finally embarked on his writing career. Monty has built on the success of Hammerhead and has a number of projects in development.
And that's it, ...
So the other person, the far more interesting person I found out about is Monty also enjoys playing cricket with his good friend Clement von Frankenstein, who is a real-life baron and a descendant of Shelley's subject.
Who is real?
Clement von Frankenstein is real. He is real. Okay,
Really?
I need you to know that he's real. He's just like an old actor, like from the old Hollywood.
He's old.
But he's an absolute nightmare person. So one quote that I liked from him was, he said that California changed between the 70s and the 90s, as he told the Daily Telegraph in 1994. Quote, in the 1970s, life was easy. Everyone was laid back. Everyone had a good time. Now it has become oppressive, charmless. You can't smoke in restaurants. Everyone is carrying around boxes of condoms. And at parties now, there's this thing called the no-host bar. You have to pay for your own bloody drinks. I mean, it's just not on.
My God.
What is a no
What a
host
character.
bar?
Well, I guess it's like there's no host, so there's no one to foot the bill.
Oh, okay.
I'm still on the
Boxes of condoms,
boxes
yeah.
of condoms.
Yeah, back in my day, you just got syphilis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just aging, right?
What? As
To
in,
be like, man, times change. You used to be able to smoke. It's like, you used to like smoking when you were younger. Now you're older.
yeah.
Times change, old man.
That sentence goes on, and he says, "You used to be able to hit your kids."
From an article in The Sun, this is the journalist talking. In fact, he practically specialised in being outrageous. Once he was forced to endure a dinner with friends after being stood up for a date, but unfortunately for Clem, he had already optimistically popped a Viagra.
Oh God.
On another occasion,
Get my box.
this one's a bit grotesque, more so. On another occasion, a poor innocent drank the contents of a bottle of Spanish brandy that he had been using to, quote, sterilize himself after becoming intimately involved with the women of Tijuana, Mexico.
The hell?
Well, is this Baron? What's
This is
Can you remind me of his full name?
Baron Clement von Frankenstein.
Baron Clement von Frankenstein.
Real person.
I trust you, but that can't be a real person.
It really is. He was in Hail Caesar. That's the one I know off the top of my head.
Oh, and can I ask, is the Baron now deceased?
He is deceased.
That's such a shame.
Because he was such a great dude.
No, I'd love to see his Instagram.
I think if you want a good approximation, I imagine if Shane Warne had Instagram,
Yes.
that's probably what you'd get.
Great.
You'd get just like dirty old man Instagram.
Have you thought about reaching out to the estate of the Baron and seeing if you can get in touch with Monty?
Monty Featherstone, please.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on, I'll just get him for you.
Monty Featherstone here.
Reporting for duty.
Yes, I'd like to make another film after the success of Hammerhead.
I'm building on that success, you see.
Another thing I like looking at, the goofs on IMDb that the finicky weirdos of the internet put up. Obviously with this movie, it's quite cheap and nasty, so there's a lot. But most of them are just normal, where it's like, the gun was pointed that way and it wasn't that way, whatever. But in this one's particularly persnickety.
I'll be interested to see which ones we just noticed from one single watch through.
Yes.
Because a lot of these stuff, normally people, if they've watched the film dozens of times and they pick up all this stuff. So I'll be interested to see how obvious these are.
In an early scene where Dr. Lockhart emerges from the pool after swimming laps, the wider shot shows the pool water completely undisturbed. If she had just emerged, there would be water ripples.
Oh, do you know what? That is my goof. That is the scene where I've got my most prominent goof, which was, so she emerges from the water. Her hair in each shot changes which way it's combed. It's
Like it's parted
ruffled.
differently?
It's a bit ruffled one direction, and then the shot back to where it's ruffled in the other direction, and it's continually changing sides.
Get that on IMDb, not the disturbed water. Yeah. A continuity error, to me, is not a great goof or a spoof. I want a boom in a shot. I want someone
Love a
using a
boom.
mobile
Yes.
phone in a period piece. I want that kind of stuff.
I want something that is so insanely obvious that it's like the coffee cup in Game of Thrones. Like,
Yes.
like it's ridiculous that nobody noticed it or picked up on it.
Can we just say that the biggest goof of that scene was the dynamics between the love interest, the main couple, because that would not exist.
The biggest goof of this film is that they are a couple. Yeah.
Yes. Right?
Well, we'll find out about these two because All right, let's talk about this fucking movie. I did this to myself. Well, we open on an uncharted island on the Western Pacific. I don't know what they think uncharted means because there's stuff on this island.
Yes.
There's like a research facility, there's boats, there's a dock, there's stuff happening. We've got a beautiful couple on a yacht. They're so young and attractive. Surely nothing terrible will happen to them. Alas, they are attacked by sharks.
The best part about that, Christian, what was the name of the boat?
The boat was named Nonna.
The SS.
I didn't notice that.
The SS Nonna.
Such a weird name for like this tropical boat. They've got with Nonna.
Yeah, that's at the start of the film. I was like, maybe it's hybrid Nonna and shark.
Just moves very slowly through the water.
Yeah, it's a wooden spoon out.
It eats you and then keeps feeding you other food.
But it's surprisingly agile for its age.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we cut to a lab where there's people in big tubes. So you know it's going to be a fun time. We meet Jeff straight away. He's like one of our main characters.
Oh, yeah.
Glory be. Fucking hell. He's playing Dr. King. For Combs heads in the audience who might know, his look here is essentially Dr. Vannacut from House on Haunted Hill. It's another character he played in 2000, I think. We're immediately thrown into what he's into. Like, there's no faffing around. There's no mystery. It's like, this guy is fucking around with gene splicing.
Oh, yeah.
He's up to no good. But he does have noble intentions. Not unlike the characters in Deep Blue Sea, which this film is very similar to.
Yes.
Except Deep Blue Sea is much better. And it has a rap at the end.
This, to me, there were so many things in this film throughout that felt so true. Like, a lot of the like Jaws shots from the water, like heaps of stuff, shots that you saw. I like seen this before.
I think we were saying, so Jaws, Deep Blue Sea, and Jurassic Park, right?
Heaps of Jurassic Park vibes in this.
But there's something that they did in Jurassic Park which they used sparingly, which was covering the lens with like a branch or a leaf, and you'd kind of peek through that, which seemingly in this film they decided to cover the lens almost always.
Well, you have to when you have a pretty dog shit costume.
Yeah.
And the costume, for some reason, spoiler alert, has to come out of the water. And you realise it's going to be in full view and there's no way to hide how crap it looks. So you just put a frond in front of it. Should be fine.
Some moss.
So he's doing shark-human hybrid business. One of their critters bites some fingers off King's assistant's hand. So we know they're not good. Probably the reason that both of Dr. King's assistants have very thick foreign accents is because this was filmed in Bulgaria.
Actually?
Oh.
Yeah, Jeff has done a few films in Bulgaria because it's incredibly cheap to film there.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yes, I think 1994's Lurking Fear, I think, was also in Bulgaria or Romania. Yeah.
Jeffrey was so exciting in this film, just even from the get-go. As soon as he's in it, like, so engaged, it's so much more interesting than everything else I've seen in this film.
Than every other character,
Yeah.
standout acting, really the only reason to watch the film.
Yes, so often the case.
Yeah.
I found that his his assistant, very like Igor kind of hunchbacky.
Really devolved
Yeah.
into some kind of Smeagol character towards the end.
And that was again like this throughout this whole film, there were things like that I was like, oh, there's like almost like a hunchback assistant guy helping out the doctor. Like there's all these elements that they've just chucked in.
They got that from Baron von Frankenstein, no doubt. Put this in the film. So one of our main characters, well, pretty much our main character is Amelia, played by Hunter Tylo from Bold and the Beautiful. She's been on that show for 30 years.
Is she still on it?
Yep.
Jesus.
Whoa.
And this was her ticket out.
Yep. So she's a biologist working for, I think, a drug company, or they're called like biotech or something.
Yeah.
So
Something very obvious. Pharmaceuticals.
Big farmery.
Yeah.
So their company has been offered a wonder drug that Dr. King has invented. It's like a mysterious like stem cell repair thing.
Stem cells really placed it for me as well.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I was like, that was such like an early 2000s thing. Stem cell technology, stem cells.
Did they solve the stem cell riddle? Was that that the phrasing?
We find out that Amelia was supposed to marry Dr. King's son, Paul, who died 5 years ago from cancer. There's your backstory.
Which is said about as abruptly as what you did there.
Yep.
Pretty much, yeah. Like they're just dumping it because it's like, we need a reason for her to be involved in this at all.
I thought that there was a tension there. It was like, oh, Paul, so upset at him. Didn't get that he was dead. Didn't get any of that. Just thought, oh, she really doesn't like this guy's son. At the time, thought that was the old man, the pharmaceutical owner. So I was like, she was supposed to marry the old man's son.
Yeah. Look, that would have probably made the film more interesting. So King's idea is like your classic mad scientist deal. He wants to combine the superior strength of the hammerhead shark with the intelligence of a man. Both qualities each have. You know, people can be intelligent and strong. Sharks are very intelligent for sharks.
Well, because he got caught up in it, because there's the deep blue sea thing, that's got all the cancer research, right? That's the classic trope about sharks. They never get cancer.
Yeah.
And so...
Which is not true.
Oh, isn't it?
They can get cancer, yes.
But it doesn't kill them or something.
No, I think it at the time that a lot of these movies are coming out, I think they thought that sharks and naked mole rats couldn't get cancer, but they've since been like, no, they can.
All these scientists just getting naked. We're gonna work it out, guys. But like the stuff with it's a weird tension between the cancer research to save my son thing, that makes sense, but then the apex predator, I want him to hunt. That just kind of doesn't fit with the loving father who's like, I just want my son to be cancer free. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, because on the one hand, you've got loving father who's trying to save his son by making him a man shark.
Yeah.
Very relatable situation. And then the other side, where he's also like, he wants him to be this dominating predator like a shark would be. But then he also has these really grandiose ideas about, basically he has the idea that if he can get Paul, man shark, to mate with a human female, that child will like hold the key to curing cancer.
Can I just and I really hope we get into this.
We'll get into everything.
Great, because that is the part that stuck with me the most. The intention of mating Paul with a human female. I think going back to just Paul as a half man, half shark.
He's mostly shark.
He's mostly shark, right?
He's way more shark than human.
It's like 80-20.
Dr. King was like, he's just tipped the edge to shark. And then you see him and you're like, no. He's literally swimming in water and he's a shark. He just has arms.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem to have any human feelings either, because the things he does throughout the film show that he doesn't have, differentiation of good and evil anymore.
The whole film, I was waiting for that moment of like, Paul, if there's any part of you still in there. Like, we didn't even get that. It was the human element was complete. Just be like, it's biological crazy shark that's got legs or something,
There
right?
was one moment where I was like, this is the most human moment that Paul has exhibited, which was when he was carefully watching the action take place. Later in the film, you just see the corner of his eye. And I was like, oh, he's being patient.
He's waiting for his turn to speak.
Yeah. Paul, speak.
Blub, 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 blub. Help! I'm a shark. So everyone's decided to go to King's Island. We've got Amelia's boyfriend, Tom, William Forsythe, who's like head of IT.
That is the weirdest part of this film,
Exactly,
right?
because he becomes like fucking John McClane in this movie.
Yes. So much so that I thought... Then I was like, oh, maybe that was him joking with his girlfriend. Like, I'm here from the IT department.
Yeah.
I don't think, because then he hacks the door. And you're like, I guess he's part of IT department.
I guess IT actually stands for...
Oh, big call on the spot, Lisa.
I do it to myself. I run myself into a corner. No, I'm going to edit it out. Amelia's boss, Feder, Arthur Roberts, and Feder's girlfriend, Julie, Maria Ignatova. This is probably a good time to play a game.
Great.
Basically, I'm going to give you guys film titles which may or may not be from Arthur Roberts' filmography.
Who can I just say, by far the worst actor in this film.
I don't know.
He was shocking.
I don't know. That's tough competition. Like, his girlfriend is pretty bad.
Oh, yeah. She's
but
she's very bad.
But there's an element of the ditzy, dumb trophy wife that kind of gets pulled off by bad acting, right?
So basically, I'm going to give you film titles. You just tell me whether they're real or fake. But basically whether they're real from his IMDb or whether I made them up. The Erotic Adventures of the Invisible Man.
Oh.
Sorry. The Erotic Misadventures of the Invisible Man.
Oh.
good. I'm going to say that's true.
He looks, I don't know how old the film is, but based on his look, I can imagine him being in some sort of sexy
Porn?
misadventure
Yeah.
film.
Yes.
So I'm going to go true as well.
That one is real.
Yes.
Thank you.
Demons of Easter Island.
Easter Island doesn't seem to me someone would bother putting that in a film title.
That's
I'm going to
true.
go false.
Wait a second, but the idea of demons on Easter Island, is Easter Island not where the statues...
Big heads, yeah.
Yeah.
Big heads? I'm going to say that's true.
The Moai is what they're called, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm really interested in Easter Island. No, that one's fake.
Yes.
Man-eaters are loose.
I'm going to
Well,
say...
I mean, it's the statement is true, but
yes. I'm going to say that's true too.
I'm going to go false for that one.
It's real.
Oh,
Okay,
I
Josh.
should have stuck with the sexiness.
It is.
Man-eaters.
It's about
I'll
man-eating
lose.
tigers, not women.
Oh. Then I changed my answer.
Swimsuit, the movie.
False.
Swimsuit the movie. It's a bit sexy. I'm going.
You
it's
love
real.
a
I'm going, it's
sexy
real.
streak.
Doesn't he just? So you're saying
saying
it's
it's real.
real? You're saying it's fake? It's real.
Yes.
Ah, come on.
It's a mockumentary about a group of swimsuit models hired by a fictitious chemical company to shoot a product catalogue. The movie spoofs the whole Baywatch Sports Illustrated obsession with calendar girls as it follows the travails of models forced to shill for a company covering up oil spills, defective breast implants, and synthetic food substitutes.
And what does he play? The swimsuit model.
I mean, I think in most of these, he's just like, man.
Yeah, rich man.
I reckon that would have really lampooned big oil in a really clever way.
Yeah, really sock it to him.
Yeah.
Take that, Shell. Battle in Revenge City.
Battle in Revenge City.
Fuck, that's a great title for a film.
It is
Battle
pretty cool.
in Revenge City. because you know, like, if you're going to Revenge City, you've got one thing on your mind, and it's battle.
But you can never. There's no reason for you to go to Revenge City otherwise, right?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Tourism's shot.
Tourism
in Revenge
shot.
City.
So anyone in Revenge City is there for a battle.
Yeah.
I've heard they got good hot dogs, though.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's true.
I think that one is fake.
It's fake.
Yes.
California Girls 2, Lost in the Bikini Capital.
California Girls 2 Lost in the... It's a good subtitle. Like, it's a good title. It matches what I would expect from a sequel of that caliber.
I'm going to say that's false.
I reckon that's... I like the subtitle of the film. I think it's true.
It's fake.
Damn it.
But thank you for liking
We're
it.
kind of alternating here.
It's a Wonderful Death.
That's got to be true.
I'm going to say that's got to be
real.
false.
It's a
That's
wonderful
a
death.
Lisa Dibb just trying to get some answers out on the page.
Choosing to take that as a compliment, but it's real.
Wow.
Scorned and detested by everyone since the beginning of time, Death is surprised to be befriended by an illness-stricken President Marshall. The US president's intentions are less than sincere, however. His sights set on immortality and eternal incumbent status.
Eternal incumbent status.
Blinded by the need for friendship, Death unknowingly falls into the corrupt politician's trap and soon finds his power to collect souls compromised. As the dire and twisted consequences of a life without death begin to merge, it's up to a cadre of political officials and an Australian garbage man named Big Tony
Yes.
to help Death realise his importance and save existence.
How is a politician outwitting death?
None of ours would.
How's that working?
It's a different time, Josh.
I can't even see Scott Morrison walking in a straight line properly. He falls into a custard pie or something. Legend of the Naked Ghost.
Ah.
Sexy again.
Yeah.
The Legend of the Naked Ghost.
So what is the naked ghost famous for? He's like taking the sheet off. Right?
I'm imagining it's like a gold rush kind of thing.
Legend of the Naked Ghost.
Yeah, and there was some...
Were people particularly naked during the gold rush?
Or
when
ghosts.
when they died.
Always naked when they die.
I think, Legend to me makes me think of someone from like the gold rush era. And so I think that it's like a teenage summer camp thing and they go to an old disused mine and the naked ghost haunts them.
I'm going to say it's false.
It's got to be false. It's got to be fake.
It's real.
Far out.
A group of unsuspecting college students
Hey!
explore a haunted house and get more than they bargained for when the frenzy of the paranormal world reveals itself
With a
in
massive dick.
Legend. It does reveal itself, doesn't it? Reveals itself in Legend of the Naked Ghost. Come, take the ultimate sensually scary journey into the unknown as three young couples embark on a ghost hunting field trip to the abandoned mansion of the late Tinseltown actress Gail Evelyn. So it's a lady ghost.
Oh. A
Gail
naked
Evelyn.
lady ghost.
Mm-hmm. I love things that are sensually scary. I love that combination. I love being scared and horny at the same time.
Do you remember, did you watch Ghost Ship? So Ghost Ship, in the film, is that obviously ghosts on a ship. And
also the ship is a ghost.
the ship is also a ghost. But there's
And
like
the ship is naked.
there's a sultry lounge singer who performs on this ship, and there's a very sexy scene where she lures a man, one of the deckhands, I think, down into an elevator shaft, and he falls to his death. And then for the first time as she turns, you see the real ghost's face. And I had been so turned on by this ghost the entire film, and I tried so hard to find the ghost sexy, but her face was all eaten away and
Oh,
rotten.
it's just you were so close too.
I was so close.
So you like the real human form,
but
but couldn't get into the ghost form.
couldn't get it, but tried. But really tried.
That's the thing about Christian, mate. He loves a real human form.
It's like, well, I've come this far.
Yeah.
I can't give up now.
It's just a bit of decay.
Oh, not too much decay. Just a little to spice things up.
Just more holes.
Just have another shot.
Come on, mate. Come on. 100,000 zombie heads.
That's not sexy at all.
No.
100,000 zombie
Maybe a
heads.
Christian.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fake for that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go fake as well.
It's real.
Oh, man.
Last one. Scared topless.
It's true. Of course it's real.
Now Lisa's in my head.
I know. Or is it fake?
I think it's fake.
It's
Wait.
real.
Yes!
It's like when you play rock, paper, scissors and you overthink it.
Ghosts cause a sexual frenzy when college students visit a haunted house. Same
Thank you,
movie.
college students. Why is there that balance between the sexy college student and the horror?
Because it's gratuitous,
But
right?
is that for the guys on the date?
Because they're still young enough to be found attractive by the audience, but they're old enough that it's legal to show their tits in a movie.
But I mean, why don't we just do one or the
that's
other?
horror movie rules.
But why isn't it just the horror enough? Why did we latch on to the boobs so much? Like a baby.
But I think people point it out more in horror movies because if there's a sex scene in a drama or a romantic comedy, you don't think of it as gratuitous because it's like
That's true.
That's part of a romantic journey or a comedic journey or it's part of people's everyday life. Whereas if people are fucking in a horror movie, it's like, oh, well, of course they would. It's like, well, yeah, because they're young people in a big haunted house.
And getting away from mum and dad for the first time.
A beautiful cabin in the woods. Why wouldn't you fuck
Exactly.
there?
Yeah, and it's always
crazy.
the bloody great successful college students, isn't it? Like big muscles, play football, sexy.
This is
Good to see them dead.
Christian's classic anti-jock rant.
Little therapy session.
Well done. Wait, who won? 4-5. You both got 5 each.
Well
it's a
done,
tie.
Well, congratulations, Josh. That's so disappointing.
It's all right. You're going home with a washer-dryer set, but did you have fun?
Great, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah. I like to think of myself as the Larry Emder of this podcast.
I was going to say...
Why Larry Emder, not Baby John Burgess?
Baby John.
Larry's a good pick. Pick.
If you're listening...
Larry Emder.
Larry
Larry
and
for out
Baby
there.
John. Lisa's front room is covered head to toe with washer dryers. So she obviously needs to get rid of them.
With the price tags on all of them.
Yeah.
Hey, it's my grift. I get them from game shows and then I sell them. So Dr. King is trying to get his creature to breed successfully to create this wonder creature. We see a woman give birth to one of these human shark critters and dies. This is Jeff just talking about his vision of a utopia.
Journal entry April 13th. The process is happening much slower than I had calculated. His appetite has become unquenchable. If I am unable to successfully get him to reproduce, I fear that he will continue to degenerate, becoming some sort of primal killer with no human consciousness. It is essential that I find a subject that he will mate with willingly. His offspring hold the key to a new breed of human. Imagine the possibilities. Human life thriving in the Earth's oceans. The dawn of a new Atlantis.
One of the things I think that tips you off as to whether we're supposed to consider Dr. King a villain or a good guy is a scene where he feeds a live mouse to a carnivorous plant. Only bad guys in films do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to go back to the birthing before, a couple of my favourite things happen with that is, so she's just on the table and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like, we've got to get this baby out. So to prepare for the surgery, they just put on some masks.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all right, got nothing else, just chuck the mask on. But then the model that they made of the baby shark was awesome.
Yeah.
It seemed to be like the best, like the actual realist best part of the film was like, give me a dirty looking, like blood covered.
Too much blood,
gooey.
though. No, too much blood.
It's
Less
just been
blood.
cut
I
out
want
of
to
a
see.
woman's belly who'd been fucked by a shark.
It didn't look enough like a shark, though. I think it just looked like a baby.
But that's why it's a failure, right?
yeah, but surely they want it to be a bit shark.
Yeah. My biggest issue is there's a gestation period there, right? So are they caring for her during this gestation period, or is she
the tube.
in the tubes?
Yeah, I think they're just
They're always in the tube.
in a tube or in a room somewhere, I imagine. They're not like looking after her.
Any scene with those tube women confused me so much.
Yes, because you know what I was thinking? With the women in the tubes, like the Bacta tanks like Luke Skywalker, I was like, are these clone women? That he's like cloning women to then mate with the shark? And there's like...
The time that we're first... Is it maybe our first proper introduction to the shark hunting is with a drowsy woman who was pulled out of the tube.
Yep.
I don't understand whether the shark mated with her or ate her.
Yeah, because it does... They let her loose in this kind of greenhouse type room, I guess, where Paul lives, because it has to be humid, I guess.
This is one of the Jurassic Park things. It was like a raptor enclosure.
Yeah.
And all the shots, it was like Paul Shark
Yeah.
vision looking through the trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I completely agree, Christian. I didn't know, is he having sex with this woman or is he eating this woman? And it wasn't made clear.
No, because the last shot of that is just kind of, you see the inside of Paul's mouth as if the woman is being eaten and we're looking at from her POV. And then there's a scream. But I don't think you do find out.
Yeah, sorry, just back to your original point about the plant sub. There was this weird subplot about him making plant experiments. Like, I made all these poisonous, dangerous plants as well in my lead up to Shark.
Actually, yeah, Josh guessed. He was like, I bet you at any point in this scene, he'll say, don't touch that. And then right at the end of the tour, it was...
I wouldn't touch that if I was you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a plant that like curls up on itself when you touch it. Which, I mean, I don't imagine that's that hard to do. We've already got carnivorous plants. You know, to make just a bigger carnivorous plant, I don't think would be that hard.
Yeah, that didn't seem to be, like, the fact that it just rolled up its leaf didn't seem particularly dangerous. Like, you wouldn't call that out to someone to be like, don't touch that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It will curl up.
I was looking for a plant that's like Audrey 2 in Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking for a plant that talks, sings, and eats people.
Yes.
Unless he's like, don't touch it because it takes like 2 weeks for us to uncurl it.
Yeah.
It's a massive pain in the ass.
Yeah. When Feder sees Klaus, the assistant who got his fingers bitten off, he says, I see you're still his right-hand man, which is fucking rude. He's clearly severely injured.
Still the blood through the bandages.
Yeah.
Also didn't properly get treated.
Nah, not at all.
Literal first instinct to make a joke. What a dick. I'm glad he dies. They all have dinner on the beach, and as we mentioned, there are two people who are never introduced.
Beach scene was crazy. Or just back on the Jurassic Park as well, they took these like green Jeeps with big headlights to the dinner. So the dinner had this moment where like halfway through it became like a Hawaiian fiesta thing.
It was like a luau. Yeah, there was music, there was dancing.
But there wasn't
fire-
music.
Yeah.
Well,
The first time they did it had these shots of fire twirlers and stuff, and there was no music.
really?
Yeah, it was just
so
it was just the
weird.
conversation and the sound of other people talking.
Oh, I must have just played music in my head to finish it off.
Because if you were making the film, you'd put music in that bit.
You'd think so.
I thought it was some kind of copyright strike thing where they'd made it with, Kokomo by the Beach Boys.
Yeah. Legally the only song you're allowed to play at a luau.
Yes.
These characters I was so distracted by because they appeared out of nowhere, and I think you hear their names later, but no one ever says why they're there, who they are.
I think they were in the boardroom meeting, right? I think the boardroom meeting in the biotech company, that's where we saw everyone who was going to be in this film.
Not the Hawaiian dancers.
Not the Hawaiian dancers.
Where did they come from for an uncharted island?
Yes.
They live on the uncharted. It's strangely populated for an uncharted island. Also, at this party, another couple are eaten in the water and no one notices.
No,
That's right.
At all.
Yeah.
And it was like sexy fun. Oh, let's go out swimming.
Yeah, swim in the dark.
And they have really good fireworks for like 12 people on an uncharted island.
Yeah, they've got like Sydney Harbour fireworks
Yeah.
for a handful of people. And what are they celebrating? Like,
But it was like...
come and see my Sharkman.
It was...
They've solved the stem cell riddle.
That's true. That's probably more likely what they're happy about. Dr. King explains to the group how he began experimenting his stem cell research on what they deduced to be his son, Paul, to cure his cancer. But he realized he needed cells that are immune to cancer, shark cells. But as we said, sharks are not actually immune to cancer. Fun myth. Dr. King shows off his alive son, swimming around in a big tank. These visual effects look awful, and they'll only get worse.
But they did They did try and hide that stuff okay, I think. Like, it was kind of quickly moving past. They didn't hang on it or anything.
Sharks famously always moving.
Always moving.
Yeah.
So they did an okay job. I didn't mind those particular special effects. But throughout the whole thing, all I wanted, give me a good look at the Sharkman.
Yes, desperate.
Just right at the end, keep it scary as much as you want. Just give me one good look, and we just didn't get it the whole film.
I think the one good look that I thought I got, his arms were small, and it was really disappointing because I wanted this shark to be jacked.
Little T-Rex arms.
Little tiny arms.
On a big hammerhead body.
Yeah.
Like street sharks. Remember street sharks?
I had little
that's what he
toys of
looks
street
like.
sharks.
Yep, that's what he looks like.
And the whole time he's like, I just can't get the arms right.
Yeah.
It's the one thing
And that's where the budget went, didn't it?
on his arms.
And most cancer lives in the arms.
Dr. King has some machine gun wielding henchmen who allow him to force his guests in the presentation room. He wants to kill them all for stealing his research over the years, apparently. In a wild maneuver, one of the henchmen drops his gun as he's shutting the door on all the guests.
Yes.
So strange.
He's just like, oh, I'll just leave it. Doesn't matter.
They did the thing, right? So I think the main guy goes to attack one. He gets like pistol whipped away. Then the guy he's in a massive crowd of a few thousand people, start shooting his gun up in the air. I'm like, you've got like 6 people here, man.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah, it's fine. A lot of shooting in this
The
movie.
drop of the gun was just so many times in this film. I was like, because it had to happen.
Just
it makes no sense.
But walk back in and grab the gun. You had so much time.
Because, yeah, he kind of dropped it as they were closing the door on them, but no one was up against the door.
Nah.
He could have just been like, yoink.
Whoa,
Like,
drop my gun. Sorry, guys. Just drop my gun.
yeah.
Don't close the door yet. Don't start the water flooding in. Let me just grab my gun.
Also, I still have the gun, so don't come near me or
Yeah,
other
and
I will
this
shoot
guy
you.
that I'm with also has a gun.
Yeah, the room is filling with water insanely quickly. For the rate at which it is pouring in, they're up to their thighs in about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know why that bothered me so much.
That's probably the most realistic science of the film. It will fill very quickly.
Really? It's a big room though, mate.
Big
Like,
room, big hole. Big water hole.
I couldn't
Yeah.
quite work out the water system in this because
Where was the water
Paul
coming from?
is in his tank on the other side,
Yes.
and then water's coming in from that tank through a gap, right? That they're trying to keep closed.
Yeah, but I think that was the idea. I think Dr. King was like, I'm going to fill the water. I'm going to fill the room with water and Paul is going to come in and he's going to kill you.
Yeah, but like the logic of it, so is Paul's tank then draining? You know what I mean?
Then Paul has to try to fit through this actually quite small
Very
hole
small
that the
hole.
water is coming out of.
Yeah.
I don't think...
There was some very exciting. This was the first hint we got at the John McClane-esque IT lead,
yes.
where he dove under, grabbed the gun, and then like 3 times in the space of about a minute, he did the classic Navy SEAL pop up out of the water,
Yeah.
covered in water,
How
and
good
started
was that?
shooting things.
Yeah.
But also
very,
slow-mo.
very cool. There's a hole in the wall, like a fan. A vent. That's
Yes.
Oh, the wall. No air fan.
Yeah.
Those vents are characters in and of
They
themselves.
really are.
Oh, yeah.
They
But-
had more introduction than the 2 people. on the island.
Absolutely.
Well, they have to shoot them out to escape. Obviously, an incredibly easy thing to do. But Sharkman is onto them, and they shoot him as well. But alas, Sharkman cannot be taken. Sharkman? Like it's his surname?
Paul Sharkman.
Like it's his surname. Oh, he's nature's greatest predator, though. He can't be taken down. Basically, King is hoping... He actually wasn't expecting Amelia to be there, but he's glad that she is because he's hoping that Amelia being there will, like, stimulate his need to mate.
Literally just moments before, he said to her, he was like, I'm sorry you've got caught up in this. I know how much you loved Paul. As in, like, you probably shouldn't be here, but you're here. Then being like, I need her to convince Paul to mate someone.
Yeah.
So many inconsistencies.
I think you're expecting a little bit too much from Sharkman.
I am.
The blokes of the group are in the water. They tried to seize a boat to steal it, but it got blown up. Classic situation.
There's a lot of gun firing in that scene.
I know, it's just like there's whole scenes that are just like gunfight just dragging on.
And
I'm
also,
like,
what about the captain? The captain is dressed like the captain of the Titanic,
He
and he's
is.
on a small speedboat.
he's on very much what you would call a small yacht. Probably maybe a 4-5 person boat.
Yes.
And he's dressed like he is
He's the captain of the
commanding
Titanic.
a cruise ship.
It's the captain of the Titanic and like 8 flammable bottles of gas.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like. There's all these giant barrels that are on the boat. Maybe he's like a gasoline transporter.
It was the most absurd thing. Like, the amount of gunfire they were peppering from the shore, these two guys, just constantly for like a minute straight, just hammering away at this boat without reloading once.
Yeah, and also without aiming. They're just shooting whatever's there.
And also, we had the classic camera shot with the scope on it. None of their rifles had scopes on them.
That was also in the goofs.
Was it? I'll do all the gun goofs.
Thankfully, there's a cabinet on the dock that says Shark Control.
Yes.
Which has all of your shark control business in it.
That's right.
It has shark tasers, which I think is very important.
At this point, when I saw the Shark Control cabinet, I was convinced that I wasn't wrong and there were more than one shark on this island.
That is confusing because there's a few times when it seems like Paul is the only shark doing any killing, but then other times there's like a long shot where there's like 3 or 4 fins in the water and you're like, okay, so there's other sharks. Are they human sharks as well?
Yes.
Or just normal sharks?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think what I kind of settled on in the end was that Paul just had 3 fins.
Where would the fins go on a man?
It's just to make it cool, right?
I guess, but the fins are really widely... Like, if he was in the water face down...
You'd have your tailbone, right? Probably
neck.
Top back of your neck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Middle of the back.
Yep.
And
or
then
between
what?
your shoulder
One on
blades.
One on your shin?
No,
Where would the other one be?
Little tailbone.
That's 2, though.
No,
Like,
I'm
Or
going...
top of the end of the tail, tip of the tail. Tip of the tail too.
Does he have a tail? Or does he have legs in this movie? I can't remember.
I think he had... Well, he goes on land, right?
Yeah.
So he's got to have legs.
Oh, he doesn't just prop himself up on his tail like a cartoon mermaid.
I would have loved if there was a scene of him hitting the gym and doing squats.
I was thinking curls.
Curls.
Like that. Get the arms bigger.
Tiny little
Because
arms.
that was the other unclear part because we didn't get a good look at him. What were his capabilities? Because throughout this film, he goes from water to land to small puddles
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Very small puddles.
where they have to be worried about the shark in the small puddle that I didn't understand his capabilities as a predator.
But also, can I just say something that defined nature was his ability to, I think, speak to vines? Because at one point...
Yes. Okay, yeah, there is a bit later that shows that he may be able to communicate with plants.
Yeah.
But then I've just realised now as I've said this, maybe the vines on the island are also under Dr. King's control.
course,
Somehow
yes.
he
They're
has
in
placed
cahoots.
random sentient vines around the island.
Yes, he has.
I mean, that's what you would do if you've got an island.
Well, that's it, right? That's the only gap of this film, and you filled it.
Yep. That's the only inconsistency.
Yep, okay, makes sense.
Everything here is straight logic. The male of the couple that we've never met, that we've never get introduced to, gets bit. Like, I think he gets his, like, kneecap bitten off. The next scene's really weird. And it touches on what you just mentioned. Feder and Julia are wandering in the forest. Julia gets attacked by a sentient vine. It like curls itself around her leg and then eventually curls itself around her whole body like a mummy. And she's screaming and understandably very scared. And Feder is going, Julia, shut up. And then he gets her free and says, at least you still have your sunglasses.
Which is the quote of the film.
I mean, first of all, he doesn't seem to like her very much.
No.
And also, what does that have to do with anything?
Nothing. Why is she there?
It's the biggest trophy. They just throw every trope they can. It's all about her running her high heels.
Yeah, she
falling
complains about her
over.
shoes a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, Julia does get eaten by Paul the Hammerhead because he can walk on land. Amelia eventually figures out that nitrogen is Paul's weakness. I don't know science, really, so I'm going to have to go with the film on that because I can't disprove it.
But the explanation was the most ludicrous part. Like, I could understand if they were saying, oh, his weakness is nitrogen, it'll corrode his skin. But no, they said nitrogen will cause him to blow up. That is literally what they said. If you use nitrogen, he will blow up.
I don't fully know what nitrogen does.
Well, that's why we had the other character who was never introduced in this scene, literally playing the audience, being like, "But what does that have to do with sharks?"
Yeah.
But what
See you later.
But what does nitrogen do? But it was great because they did that. It was just the most obvious. Like they just sort of flat out were like, "Oh, it's like the way humans have to decompress when we come up to the surface. Sharks don't have to do that. So flooded with nitrogen, they'll explode." Like,
Yes.
all right.
They didn't even need that, though. They could have just been like, let's kill the shark. Like, let's...
Yeah, they put so
Put a
many
knife in
bullets
its
through
head.
the thing.
But
Yeah.
it was one of the only things in the film that they actually set up. So
Well, yeah.
good on
Yeah.
them for doing that.
Here's just a little clip of Jeff talking about hammerheads.
It never ceases to fascinate me. The distance between the eyes. The sphere now, that distance is greater than in all of the genus. Their superior vision, their sensory organs, their ability to sense subtle changes in water pressure and electromagnetic fields, all that makes the Hammerhead the world's most dangerous killer. Which makes me wonder, why are these people still alive?
Eventually, both of King's assistants and the lady we were introduced to get eaten as well. Paul is very hungry. He can eat a lot.
Yeah, do you reckon he's eating them or is he just attacking and killing them?
Yeah.
He's having a feast because you see the body at one point and there's just the leg with the shoe and a kind of mangled carcass. The rest is gone.
Pretty much every attack in this, there's a lot of shark vision, and then you'll see like a bloody arm fly through the air. Pretty much everyone has a limb bitten off and it flies through the air.
Yeah. And I think that is the human part of Paul, that we see he has a sense of humour.
Amelia and Feta are taken to King's lab and we get this nice little exchange.
I can combine species, but I can't make them procreate. For that, I need a womb.
You're going to impregnate me?
No. He is.
Gross.
I don't know how sharks mate.
Do sharks have like those corkscrew penises?
I don't know.
No,
I was
they're
like a duck.
eggs. Their eggs are like a corkscrew shape.
Because I had the idea, in my head, the idea was that what you wanted, Josh, this moment of Paul being
Little
like,
humanity inside
little
Paul.
humanity, and then you see that he's actually, Dr. King goes, I've taken him closer to human, and he's still shark, but Amelia can look through the shark and see Paul there. And then there's a passionate embrace, and then it gets a bit sexy. That's
Okay.
what I...
So you think she would voluntarily fuck him then?
So I really thought that
Well, she
Amelia,
thought he was
after
dead,
losing
right?
after losing all of her friends, she didn't love the job. I thought that maybe she's like, there's a life for me, Dr. King, and Paul on this island.
You got a really different vibe out of this movie than I did.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I've been in love before. I don't think I've ever loved a man enough to fuck him if he became a shark.
How do you know?
I think I know it in my heart. I think I know myself
Sure.
and my willingness to have sex with a fish or a mammal.
Well, he'd have the penis of a man.
Oh, well, that's better.
But that was the whole thing, right? Because we never got a good look.
That's it,
We couldn't
right?
determine, is it going to be passionate reunion sex?
Yeah.
It's like 5 years ago, though, wasn't it? Like,
She thought he was dead, and they were supposed to get married.
yeah, but she's with a new guy now. She's gotten over it.
Yeah.
Then you guys...
I don't know.
yeah.
He's substandard.
No, but she likes him. She loves this guy.
She does.
She
yeah.
loves
For
whatever,
some fucking reason.
Jono the IT guy. Fucking nerd. So, as King is preparing for Paul and Amelia to mate, I mean, that's when you know it's not good, when it's mating instead of just having sex.
You're right. That should have been. Yeah, that should have thrown me off.
Paul Sharkman, he eats his dad's arm off.
Yeah,
What an ungrateful little bitch.
son.
I know.
Everyone was hanging out very close to the shark that has clearly demonstrated itself to have zero human and all shark instinct.
But
But Dr. King was very much under the assumption that that was like still his son. There was still his boy in there.
But also tiny little tank.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
like 3/4 out of the water. He was like,
Yeah.
it's like when you bathe a baby and you can only put him in 2 inches of water.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just like splashing about in a little,
Dirty
one of those
brown water so we couldn't see anything.
clamshell pools.
Just hoses down the shark every now and
Oh, it's good for a hot day, you know. Tom is very much like the everyday hero in this. Like, he's an IT, but he's been doing all of these like action hero moves.
Yeah.
He shoots Paul with liquid nitrogen and he explodes. It's pretty anticlimactic, actually.
Super anticlimactic.
Considering we've had scenes and scenes and scenes of like really intense gunfights and a boat exploded and other stuff exploded. And then when Paul explodes, it just happens like anything else in the movie.
One of the strangest things about the death is that Tom somehow jerry rigs a nitrogen dispenser that is in the shape of a gun. Yeah. So he ends up shooting him with nitrogen from a jetpack.
For the climax and the death of the main animal beast in this film, it comes out of his nitrogen water gun like you've got a shitty wet kink in your hose or something.
Like what's that Mario game where he shoots?
Super Mario Sunshine. It
It is like Super Mario Sunshine.
But it wasn't even like a good strong jet of like you've got a really good hose. There's a lot of power to this. It's like a fire hose or anything. It just kind of dribbles out and just like goes a bit on his mouth.
Yeah.
I reckon it should have he should have shot it. It should have landed in his mouth, and there should have been a lasting shot of Paul's eyes, and you sort of get the feeling that maybe he was still human after all. Will we ever know if he was fully shark or fully human? And then he dies, and you never know.
Oh, what a beautiful end!
I've already made a better film.
I was hoping for shark clamp around hose, Tom, and slowly the bites get further down the hose,
Like Lady and the Tramp.
Yes, and he gets closer to Tom's hands, and then eventually they're face to face, eyeball to eyeball,
Nose to nose.
and then they kiss.
Oh, I don't think they'd be able to mate.
No, but it wasn't for the mating.
No, it was just for the fun.
Yeah.
Because I think what I wanted from that scene was more like when you get a hose and you spray it at a dog, and a dog tries to like bite the water.
Yes,
I kind of wanted that, just this stream of liquid into the mouth, and it pulls like.
Yum, 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 yum. He also kills Dr. King because Dr. King gets up and tries to threaten Amelia with one arm. They shoot up the place. They're destroying all of Dr. King's tube women and all of his various experiments.
What a shotgunning of little shark babies.
How intense is that?
Yep.
They literally go around and shoot the babies, the fresh-born shark
The
babies.
weird thing about it is they're making out like someone is just going to pick up this research tomorrow and be like, wow, this guy was onto something here. Like, no one can ever see what happened here. We have to destroy everything.
Yeah, like as if you walked into that lab and saw a bunch of women in tubes and shark babies, you'd be like, oh, this was stem cell research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cancer's rubbish. I'm going to finish this off.
But they also never work out what the women in tubes are used for.
Yeah, they're just like, free women in tubes. So the whole place explodes in an absolutely garbage visual effect. Fire would have just been fine. They've had some pretty good explosions, like real explosions so far. You should have just done that. This looks worse than like
bad.
Like cheap green screen.
Because
like,
it immediately
terrible.
becomes thin black sticks. Just instantly.
The dumbest thing with the explosion, what they didn't do, they didn't even give them an explosion now. So they're just doing like the same slow-mo run off, no reaction at all to the entire lab exploding.
Yeah.
But that's pretty typical of films. Like nobody ever reacts to explosions, apart from some movies where people manage to time their leap.
Yeah, the dive is great.
With the explosion, which I don't think I would do.
No,
I think I would continue running in order to get additionally further away from the explosion.
But when you're doing that, it's for the fun. It's like surfing. It's like when you catch the wave, you're like, here I am, and now I'm on the wave. This is the best part.
I would absolutely do the dive. Because surely the heat and the force, the wind of the explosion.
You got this very wrong.
You can
Lisa's
run.
Right here.
You can run further than you can leap.
Josh,
I'm timing my leap. Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to Superman out of there?
No, I'm running as hard as I can, and then I audibly hear, and I feel a bit of the explosion, maybe a bit of broken glass that's tickling me. I'm like, I'm going to get down and get close to the ground and let the big blast go over me.
where the glass is going.
No, that's why I'm timing it, right?
Why not? And then when you hit the ground, everyone just keeps running, and then you're left to be
trampled.
No, because all the debris blows over the top of me. They get all taken out by a beam, whereas it goes over my head, and I stand up and go, all right, let's get out of here.
You know that stuff that goes into the air comes straight back down.
Yeah,
it's going to land on you.
You've got a bigger footprint by running around like a fool.
But I'm getting further away.
Yeah.
Because in the time
How long do you think this explosion goes for?
No, but look. Okay.
There's a moment.
No. All right.
Nah.
Listen.
So no, can I just say,
Listen,
Lisa, you're...
hang on. Well, I need to empty. Okay, so this is the explosion. I was hoping...
What sound are you looking for?
I was hoping it would...
You were hoping the crushed can would explode?
I was hoping it would be louder like a Coke can.
Just spray it with some nitrogen.
These are thicker. These are thicker than a Coke can.
Give it one more go.
No.
Jump!
They're too thick. They've got more
That
coating.
was a really underwhelming explosion.
They've got a coating. Anyway, no. Okay, so when something explodes, kablow, like that. Yeah. If you're leaping, you're going to get, 2 or 3 meters away.
Yeah.
In the time that you've taken to leap, I've ran like 5 or 6 meters.
And still running.
And I'm still running, and I can keep going. Whereas once you've leapt, you're on the ground. You're going to have to
You're
take...
both escaping.
Hang on.
Let me mediate here. You're both escaping very different things. Josh, you're escaping the glass. You are escaping the heat.
I'm escaping the whole situation.
You're making out like my first reaction is to jump and dive. No. I'm running, and then the moment of explosion, the moment in time, that's when I'm diving.
Why? Why not just keep running?
To lower my... So everything goes over me, and I'm in a smaller spot on the ground.
Why not just crouch a little bit as you run?
Run,
Duck
crouch.
Your head, go put your top over your head.
Like a frog, yeah.
Like a frog?
Yeah.
When do they pull T-shirts over their head?
No, but they crouch. They're low to the ground. They're squat.
So I'm leaping.
Just like a frog.
Josh is literally leaping away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how you escape.
I'm down,
You
squatting down the
leapfrog.
ground. Hey guys, here it comes. Rivet!
You have to jump over Christian, then Christian has to jump over you.
Guys, the most efficient way to get away from an explosion
Okay,
is to leapfrog.
We've come across the best way to escape a fire. Guys, do that next time. Stop, drop, roll, leapfrog. Anyway, a fire would have been fine in this situation. And our climax is Amelia and Tom kiss on the beach. He says, I love you. She does not say it back. Mm-hmm. And we get a spooky shot of the water and credits.
Spooky shot of the water, right? Is that? Are we reading into that, you know, more sharks exist?
I was taken, because it's a spooky shot of the water with spooky music, I was thinking that they were just doing a fake out where it's like, is Paul going to be there? No.
So much so
Yeah,
that we
okay.
rewound it and we're like, did we miss the little at the end? It was
Yeah.
like, shark's still
Yeah,
around.
but just like swims past the
Yeah.
camera and you're like, he's still alive.
I would have rather just do that. Don't like wrong footers be like, oh, maybe there's still a shark
Okay,
around there
so
and not have the shark around.
Well, you would like to have seen Paul again.
Yeah, it's not Paul. Paul literally exploded.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah.
There's no way Paul.
One of the
could-
Son
shark.
of
It should have
Paul.
been one of the shark babies got out.
Yes, that is a better ending.
And then the next one will be called
Maybe
Baby
it's-
Shark.
maybe it's got.
son of
Son of Shark Man.
son of Sharkman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, better name than Paul.
Yeah.
Gotta have a better name than Paul for literally a half man, half shark.
I don't know. What name do you give a shark?
Not a
man?
boring name like Paul. It is the
yeah.
most boring, mundane name, and every time this shark came out, referring to
Actually-
it as Paul
Actually,
is
you know,
ridiculous. Oh, Jesus.
That was the name. That was the sound of the explosion.
you know what'd be a good name for a shark? Finn.
That would work.
Very proud of herself, Lisa.
She's lost it.
What about Scully?
I reckon...
Skull. Why?
Skull?
Because they
Oh,
have,
whoa.
because they have skulls.
Yes.
Paul is too normal. I reckon Rubio.
Rubio.
Something sounds tough, right?
But that sounds something sexy and Spanish.
Yeah, he's trying to fuck all these women the whole film.
That's a good point.
Sorry,
Montoya.
mate. He's trying to mate.
Well, yeah, because they kept calling him Paul throughout the film. It's not like they started calling him Sharkman.
Yes.
There was...
You don't call anyone by their last name.
Some
Sharkman. Into my office.
Sharkman.
I'm sick of this crap, Sharkman. You're off the force.
Hand in your teeth.
Got in your...
And in your teeth.
I mean, your head and your fin on my desk.
We do things by the book. And that's Sharkman / Hammerhead : Shark Frenzy. I mean, it was a shark frenzy in the sense of one shark causing a frenzy, not a multitude of sharks
Yes.
becoming a frenzy.
If you
Yes.
use frenzy, I'm expecting dozens of sharks.
That's right. And that's why, but I honestly thought there were dozens of sharks the entire film.
Because it did seem like the kind of research, right? He has all those genetically modified plants that then is it the case that he's been working on the shark stuff and there's all these prototypes that weren't quite right and then he did it on his son and he's nearly gotten there. So that's what I thought, that he was into sharks. The way he talked about sharks, like, surely this guy's got heaps of sharks.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're not going
heaps.
to try it first on your son.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
No way am
You
I...
wouldn't?
No way am I giving first try. Don't use your actual son. Get someone else's.
Bit worried when Josh has kids.
Hang on a second.
Abduct someone else's kid, try it on them first. Oh, died straight away.
Obviously been doing a lot of testing. He's got an entire lab with women in test
and where?
tubes.
And where are they?
You reckon his son is what he started with?
No, on other sharks.
But that's what I'm saying. Where are the prototypes? They
Oh,
weren't-
they're dead.
Okay.
This is the first one that worked.
Yeah.
He got lucky.
He got lucky. He got real lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't, again, this was the first one where he took a human and made it half shark. He didn't create from scratch a man shark
So-
or shark man.
Yes.
Do we know, right? Because she said Paul's dead. Was it like Paul's posthumous DNA spliced with the shark, or did Paul hadn't died yet?
They didn't explain.
Yeah, my idea was that Paul was like, I don't want people to see me like this in my final days. And his dad said, son, charter a boat.
Come into my lab.
Yeah.
Do you reckon Paul consented?
Yes.
Was Paul just like, anything you can do, Dad?
Anything you can do to keep me alive. And he goes, I've got the solution for you.
Chemo? No.
No. The most logical and best option for us, I think, is to make you a shark. And Paul was like, that'd be sick.
My dad, he's so smart. You know, he's been working with genetics for so long. Honestly, guys, let me go. You got to trust my dad. He wouldn't do something to put me in harm's way.
I've actually never realised Jurassic Park how sexless a film that is.
I mean, there is that scene where Sam Neill kind of starts spooning with the
Triceratops.
The Triceratops. I think that's pretty sexy.
He's listening to her breathe because she's his favourite.
That's right.
That's emotional, not sexual. Thank you.
Yeah, the classic one is the Goldblum unbuttoned
Oh,
on the
that's true,
counter
yeah.
in the bunker underground.
That is
That's the
incredibly
vision
erotic.
that's
Yeah,
a
That's
vision.
too overt.
It's fine by me. I saw Jurassic Park at the Astor recently. For those who don't live in Melbourne, the Astor is a beautiful old Art Deco cinema in Melbourne. One of the last kind of independent cinemas. Amazing place if you're in Melbourne and you haven't been there. Why? And I saw Jurassic Park there, and it was a pretty packed screening. But when that scene happened, like Jeff Goldblum just lying like a goddess on a bench, everyone cheered.
Great. I love how that's become a classic scene of that film. I feel like that came a lot later. I feel like that when Goldblum got some cachet, maybe like 7 or 8 years
weird,
ago.
Yeah, his weird persona
And he leaned
cachet,
into it,
right?
and now
Yeah.
now his personal brand.
When he was
is kind of
he
weird and
came out
creepy.
as a jazz pianist. He started wearing leopard skin.
Yeah.
I think he's gotten a lot sexier in recent years as well.
Oh, yes.
He's always been hot, but now he's like
Now
Silver
he's
Fox.
sexy.
Well,
hot.
now he's pushing it. That's my
Was that your
That's my
impression?
Goldblum, yeah, that's good.
I've never tried, and I don't think this will be the first time.
Round table, Goldblum impressions, go. Yeah, well, obviously Jeff was the best thing in this movie objectively. He was the best actor, and he also had the most interesting character.
Yes.
Like his character had a reason for what he was doing.
Yes.
He had emotional depth.
Yes.
He was weird and eccentric.
Yes.
And evil. And
Yes.
evil's always more fun in movies.
By far and away, the most exciting part of the film.
Yes.
Yeah, he has little grandiose speeches. He gets to yell. He's got his funny little glasses. I mean, he's not reinventing the wheel. He's like classic kind of movie villain that Combs heads will know from other films. But inevitably, as is so often the case, it's more the problem is the script rather than his interpretation of it.
How do you think he goes into a project like this? He signed up to it. He's agreed to Sharkman. Mm-hmm. Is he like, this is rubbish? Or is he like, just kind of great, I'm going to own it. This character's really exciting. I'm really excited to do this.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah,
I think
right.
he's a jobbing actor, so I think he will do his best no matter what the role is because he's not a schmuck. He wants to earn his money. But I think he'll acknowledge when a film isn't good. Like he openly acknowledges how terrible one of his first films was, which is a terrible movie that we've covered on this podcast called Frightmare, which was his first named role. So he was very young. It was his first major role. And yeah, he absolutely acknowledges what a dreadful movie it is and what a terrible experience he had on the set. He doesn't often come out and say, I did this movie 5 years ago and it was shithouse. But you can tell by the way he talks, and sometimes he's like, I had a good time. Got to go to Bulgaria. That was nice.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on, there's been directors and stuff that he's worked with that he's obviously had better experiences with, just from what I've garnered. Normally sometimes there'll be a link to a film that's like the reason he's in it. Like, like with Snide and Prejudice, that co-starred Renee Auberjonois, who he was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine with. So it's like, that's that link there.
Okay.
And then other films, it's been like, okay, he has a bit part in this, but that's because he's worked with this director before. Whereas this, I'm like, what was your reason for doing this?
Is he the type of actor that would be drawn to top billing?
As in, he would only take a movie if it was top billing?
No, the fact that they were like, you're the top dog here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well-
yeah, because especially, what was it? This was 2005. Yeah, there's been little pockets of his career where he's done a whole bunch of movies in a row where it's been very much like bit parts.
Yes.
And whether that's a conscious decision because he's like, I want to work on this or that, and I'll do movies in between, or whether it's just what he was getting offered, I don't know. But yeah, I think the idea of being the main, the lead, was probably quite nice, regardless of how garbage the script is. You get offered the main role in a movie, you'll probably do it.
Yeah.
You know?
And you get flown to Bulgaria.
Yeah. You don't lie. You'd do Sharkman.
100%.
Yeah.
I'd take any character in Sharkman. I would absolutely play.
Would you take Paul? No face, uncredited. You'd just be in the suit.
Well, the guy who's in the suit is credited.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
like a stunt guy, but
Elviro Martinez?
it'd be something to put on the CV.
Yeah. I'd act the shit out
It's
of that
work.
role.
Well, that's it, right? Like, being in a film like that, if you do your bit well, you don't come off bad. Whereas, like, the people who are bad actors in that film, you go, you're a bad actor in a shit film.
So who comes off well, aside from Jeffy?
I think Amelia comes off all right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's
Serviceable,
obviously giving
right?
it a go.
Yep.
I think Tom
Tom
is all
does.
right. I think everyone apart from the main couple feels like they're just kind of genuinely bad actors who, even if they are doing their best, is not really good enough.
The Igor guy was okay for his
Igor
role.
was okay.
He was fun, but that's possibly because he had a very thick Eastern European accent, which is inherently fun to listen to.
And maybe one of the line directors, second cousins, had just come on and is having fun for the day.
Yeah. Come, be in my movie. What's a
Yeah.
Bulgarian accent?
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes, master.
Yeah, so that's Sharkman. Boys, anything to plug?
Josh, you'll probably have some additional things to plug, but you and I both do a podcast called Welcome to Patchwork with a third member, Dion. We release our podcast fortnightly. You can find it in all the normal places you would find podcasts. It is a comedy.
Yes. We just kind of tackle the little small things in life and little bits of social etiquette, like if you're going to a party and take some chips and you don't open the chips, can you take the chips home again? You know?
I've heard you use that example previously as well.
Because
Is
it
that your
the
go-to?
That's our
clearest,
go-to.
to me, is the clearest example of the minutiae of what we get into the show.
Or the other one, which is how long do you keep birthday cards for?
Yeah.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
It depends on the birthday card, if I have like a lot of sentimental attachment to it. But sometimes I like to repurpose them if it's got really nice art on it.
Really? You cut off one side, the empty side?
Yeah. Or like I have a birthday card where a friend drew me a really nice picture on the front, and so I just
Got rid of the heartfelt message.
no, the heartfelt message is tucked away somewhere, but the picture is on my wall because it's a very nice picture.
That's great. That is a good use.
Yeah.
I feel like you get very considered birthday cards. Well, I'm thinking of the ones that I get that are like happy birthday, and then you flip it on the inside, you old ape.
Is that a boy thing though?
Maybe.
Do boys just give, really cold and emotionless cards?
Or they're like those wacky ones with like a girl in a bikini with jugs of beer. Being like, thought you'd like some jugs for your birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, better to be over the hill than under it.
But so yeah, our podcast is Welcome to Patchwork. We're at Welcome to Patchwork on pretty much all the socials.
Yep.
And I also have another project with my brother Eden called Game Boys Comedy, which we're working on a new live show for Melbourne International Comedy Festival. So that'll be, keep an eye out for that come April at Game Boys Comedy across all the socials. So we got some YouTube stuff as well if you want to get a taster.
For any Australians, Game Boys, I shared a little bit of it on the Reanimate's socials, but Game Boys had a lockdown-related variety show as a tribute to Hey Hey It's Saturday, which Australians will know as a classical piece of Australian media.
Classical beast. Daryl Sellers would be very rapt to hear that description of it.
You can take it how you like. I just mean that it's been around for a long time. Doesn't mean that it's good or important. Daryl, if you're listening, I'd have him on the show. I reckon.
Yeah, come on in.
And as usual, you can find this podcast on @ReanimatesPod on Instagram and Twitter, @ReanimatesPodcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Tumblr, and all the usual podcast places. Like, review, subscribe, write me a letter, send me a carrier pigeon, join the conversation. I don't know. It's really hard to find non-corny ways of saying that stuff.
No, I think that, you just got to get it out, right? You did really well then.
Oh, thank you.
Any kind of two-way communication you can get from listeners, it's the best.
Yeah,
Yes.
anyone who's listening to this, never feel like you can't just like tweet something at me, even if it's non-Jeff related. Like, obviously I love Jeff content, but I also like cats and birds.
Oh, imagine a picture of Jeff with a cat and a bird.
There's
It exists, and it's in my bedroom.
So I gave it to him as a birthday card.
there are pictures of Jeff with cats, and there are pictures of Jeff with birds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have a. Is it the wow of the week?
Yeah, absolutely.